Obeisances, obeisances, everyone.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Prabhupada, Haribo. Got
Hare
everyone
Krishna
here.
Prabhuji.
Haribo. Hitika, Ishvarya, Niha, Gitika. Let me change views.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna
Got
Prabhuji.
Prachi and Neha and Barkha and Kajal and Tanya, Roshni, Mehak, Pinky, Simal's here. iPhone 13 Pro is here. I forgot your name, but it just says iPhone 13 Pro. That's her name. Sagar G is here. Saveta, Ria, Gungun, Raki, Nimerta, Sunita, Varsha, Damni, Meena. And then on page 2, we've got Aishvarya, Niha. Oh, no, sorry. Page 2. Well, basically, we got a few more. Devika, Dia, Chetna. I've basically gone through everyone, but if I've missed some of you, please forgive me. So, last day, we're going to take a swim in Radhakund, Krishna willing. Okay, I'll just mute everyone, if possible, just again to make sure we have a decent kirtan, as decent as we can do this online. And what picture should we share today? And I guess we can always go back to Radha Krishna. Yesterday I gave a presentation at, there's a little preaching center / restaurant in a city called Tours, Tours, Tours. You don't pronounce the S. And only about 10 people showed up, mostly university students. And I gave a presentation on the link that we can establish between the Bhagavad Gita and studies that have been made on children who claim to remember their past lives. I'm sure many of you have heard about that. You're doctors, most of you, so I don't know if you know about Dr. Ian Stevenson. Maybe one day, actually, I can do that as extra credit, this keynote presentation I made, because it shows, a few cases of these children who are, since the 1960s, basically since 50 years, all these cases, thousands of them, of children, who claim to remember past lives, are studied in a very, very rigorous, academic, most scientific, most rigorous way. In different parts, but especially at the University of Virginia, which is voted the #1 public university in all of North America, like second before UC, University of California. And there's a department there called the Department of Psychology or Psychiatry. I always confuse them. And the head of the department was called Ian Stevenson, and he passed away about 10, 15 years ago. But he basically spearheaded the academic study of children who remember their past lives. So again, thousands of cases of children who will, as you know, will start describing some incredible details of of a place or some village or that the children have never been to, or will even claim that they were shot in their last lives, killed by bullet wound, by being shot, and they happen to have birthmarks that can actually even correspond to to where the bullet entered and came out and stuff like that. So then I basically said, look, there's different paradigms out there. You know what a paradigm is, a way of thinking or a way to understand the world. And one of them is called physicalism. And physicalism is this idea that is taught to you guys. Oh, I have to have the permission to share, Krishna Priya. Is this idea that consciousness is just a product of the brain, It's called physicalism. This is the French way to write it. But, the idea that your feelings, your emotions, your love, your free will, all that is simply and nothing but, an interaction of neurons and protons in your brain. And consciousness is also nothing but a combination of neurons and protons in your brain. And so when your brain is dead, when physical death comes and, you're flatlining, as they say, according to the physicalist worldview, you're dead. There's nothing left. There's nothing that happens after that. That's it. Whereas, but these children who claim to remember past lives, are rogue phenomena. In other words, they're considered paranormal, and they're the type of phenomena that go against the grain, that that kind of don't fit the physicalist paradigm. And that's why we could say a lot of people try to say, no, it's made up, it's not real, but Ian Stevenson, this Dr. Ian Stevenson, and the institute he began at the University of Virginia, he really made the point that even though he didn't believe in karma, he explains that reincarnation is the best solution to explain this type of phenomena. So in this presentation, I explained how this type of phenomena of children, who claim to remember their past lives, fits not with the physicalist worldview, but rather with the Vedic worldview. In the Vedic worldview, we're 100% soul, and the soul transmigrates from one body to another, and then there's this very interesting few words that Krishna himself says in the Gita, which is Paurava Dehikam. In 643 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says Paurava Dehikam, that those who are fallen from yoga practice, they take birth again. Sagar, you have a question? Great. Hold on a second. They take birth either in the family of yogis or in rich families, and Paurva Dehikam, they reconnect with a knowledge or with an understanding from a past life. That's why you see some people are like, when they read Bhagavad Gita for the first time, or when they meet devotees of Krishna, it's like, wow, this is it. I'm home, and others like, well, why? Because past lives already, most probably they did practice. And so they're reconnecting to a past life understanding. And so this past life reconnection with a past life understanding is not only on the metaphysical level, but also even on the physical level. And so you have these, these samskars, kind of giving you the whole presentation, but just I'm finishing up. So like, for example, a kid is born, is let's say you die by being, let's say your head being cut off, and in your next life you take birth with, a birthmark around your head like this, And how does this Vedic paradigm explain this? Well, very easily. First of all, there's this, Purva Dehikam, specifically related to what we call our samskars, where, you have a subtle body, like let's say the yellow here is the subtle body. And as you know, the subtle body doesn't go away when the physical body dies. When the physical body dies, which is the external shirt here, the brown part, that is cremated or buried or whatever. But the subtle body carries the Atma. It carries the Atma to the next body. You see, you have the soul in the center and then the subtle body. So the subtle body doesn't leave. So what we can explain is that some trauma happens on the gross body and somehow gets impregnated into the subtle body so strongly that when the subtle body carries the soul to another body, that samskara from the subtle body is manifest either through some birthmark or through some remembrance of language or a specific place or name of somebody, and so on. So anyway, that's what I spoke about yesterday. It was really cool. Okay, let's do our little kirtan. Oh, Sagar, you have a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhu, very, very sorry from my side because I didn't speak a single word in whole session because at the time of the class, I was in library always, but mostly I was in library. So I can't speak a single word, and sometimes I can't reply to you why I'm not. So very, very sorry because
that's okay. Thank you for.
Today I'm in home, but mostly I was in library, so I don't speak a single word. It's very sorry, Prabhu.
It's all good. Thank you for kindly saying that. All right. Everyone mute yourselves. We'll do 5 minutes of kirtan. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jaya Shri Krishna. By the way, this picture, sorry, but this picture is the first time Lord Chaitanya manifests in painting form outside of India, or at least in ISKCON. This is a painting that Mother Jadurani made in 1966 in New York, and it was done, with the personal oversight by Srila Prabhupada. So it's a historic painting. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mute yourself, Damni. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Last one. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, here we are now. We're getting close to Vrindavan. We are in Vrindavan. So I'll read the first verse and then let's do our little, at your marks. Ready? Raise your hands for who wants to read. I mean, you've got enthusiasm. It's fantastic. Actually, I feel so inspired because, in France, especially France, somehow France is such a difficult field to preach in. It's so hard. It's not like it's not hard in the sense of it's actually, in a way, it's harder than places like China or communist Russia. Because in those countries, if it wasn't for, super demoniac governments, people would become interested. And they do, actually. They do. You see that in spite of, a heavy communist government, thousands of devotees were made in the former Soviet Union, isn't it? And same thing in China. Technically, you're not allowed to. Oh, Rocky is asking which verse. We're reading verse number, it's number 9. For those who are fans of the Beatles, there was a song called Number 9, and it was voted the worst song they ever composed. So I hope you know the Beatles, because even though it's an old group, it wasn't even an old band for me. The Beatles are, if you're interested a little bit in the history of the Western world, the Beatles, and Prabhupada said they were fallen demigods. and you watch documentaries on the Beatles, it's just unbelievable the effect they had on their fans. You see, they land in an airport, and all these, like, you've got thousands of girls like screaming, fainting, unbelievable. So how do we get to the Beatles? Yeah, number 9. So we're on verse number 9, and so we have, in terms of reading, the reading list. Mm, 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 mm. And then after Tanya. Okay, so we've got a lot of devotees to read. And we'll start with Gitika, and then Mehak, and Shobha, and Simal, and Barka. And this is a quick verse. Vaikuntaj janito varamadhur puri tatrapi rasotsavad vrindaranyam. Let's see if it works. Vrindaranyam udarapaniramana tatrapi govardhanaha radha kundam ihapi gokulapate premamritat plavanat kuryad asya vira jatogiritate sevam viveki nakaha. Sort of works. So the holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha. So remember, what's being established here, we tend to forget this. We tend to miss it. I missed it the first time I read it. What's incredible just in this very sentence, just in terms of geography, what's somebody raised, if you don't mind, bring down all your hands, and then all of them. Okay, cool. And now, Niha, you still have your hand raised, and Komal also. If you want to put down your hand. So the question is now, why is this first sentence amazing? Like, what's the geography? What are we talking about here? We're talking about two places, and where are they located, these two places? Anyone want to answer? Okay, Krishna Priya.
Prabhu, can you just repeat it again because I couldn't understand your question?
Okay, so here in this first sentence that we have here, the holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. So what's amazing? What are the two? What are we talking about geographically speaking here? Devika, you have your hand up. Maybe you want to answer.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanvat Pranam. I guess maybe they're talking about the material planet Earth and spiritual planet.
Exactly. It's unbelievable. You would think that, Vaikuntha, the spiritual planets where there's Vishnu himself with Lakshmi Devi, and every soul there has a Satchidananda body and a Vishnu form, isn't it? That's what we read. And yet, in the planet, or in the material world, what does Krishna say about this world? Dukhala yama shashvatam, right? Prabhupada sometimes talks about it as, it's a place of rejects. I mean, it's a place where it's like a prison. It's a prison. I don't know if you ever saw a movie. I mean, I hope you didn't, because then you'd be too much involved in mundane Western culture. But sorry to give you these references. I'm sorry. I don't know Bollywood so well. I watched a few Bollywood movies. And, I can tell you who Amitabh Bachchan is, and younger actors, maybe a couple of them. But so, sorry, no refund, but I only have Western references because I'm a Westerner. So there was this movie that came out that really shocked me when I was a kid. I watched it when I was 9 or 10. It was called Escape from New York. Now, as you know, or may not, it's not important, but New York, the center of New York is called Manhattan. And Manhattan, which is where Prabhupada actually started his movement, is an island, actually. It's an island. So the movie is a futuristic sort of doomsday, apocalyptic type of, science fiction movie. It's 2060, the year is 2060 or 2125. And Manhattan itself has become a high security prison with these huge walls around it. And all the most hardcore criminals are just dropped there by helicopter. But there's no police, there's no guards, there's nothing. They just drop food every week, and then there's basically the law of the jungle there. And so they have the most powerful criminals who become sort of the the mayor of that jail, and then you understand my point. And so it's a horrible place. So similarly, this material world is a horrible place in some way, and yet here Rupa Goswami says that Mathura in the material world is superior to Vaikuntha. And what's the reason, Raki? I mean, it's right there in the text. But why is Mathura in the material world even spiritually superior to Vaikuntha? Maybe Raki can answer. You raised your hand
I have a
before.
question according this that you said that this world is like a prison or
No, but
Krishna
first we will answer the question of why. Sorry, I try to imitate the Indian accent. I don't succeed very well. Why is it that Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha?
because Krishna takes birth in this place.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we got it. So it's still amazing though. So Rocky,
Yes.
you had a question about this material world.
Yes, Guruji. As you said that this world is like a prison, or Krishna says this
Well,
world.
it's Krishna.
Yes, Krishna says that this world about like dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Okay, so maybe there must be some people who born in favorable condition in very respectable family and everything maybe in the favor of that person. So why would that person will think this life is a prison?
Yeah, that's called, what do we call that? We call that Maya. That Maya. Prabhupada, when he arrives in Boston, he writes that famous poem. You know that poem, my dear Lord Krishna, you're so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here, but I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? And then he says, most of the population here is covered in the mode of ignorance and passion. And here's the key term, absorbed in material life. They think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no attraction for your message. Can someone mute herself? Because there's serious back noise here. Thank you. Yeah, so that's the trick of Maya, isn't it? To make us feel like we're comfortable when we actually are not. But the trick of Maya is kind of amazing, is that even if we're kind of struggling, we still think it's okay. We're so it's almost like any condition we're in. Yeah, okay, it's difficult, but I'm comfortable. And that's where Maya is. It's not just that only extremely rich people who are super, who have a lot of punya, of course they'll think this world is comfortable, but otherwise, why in Mahabharata, Yudhishthira Maharaj is asked, what is the most amazing thing in this world? And what does he answer? What is the famous answer by Yudhishthira in Mahabharata? Come on, ladies, you should know this. You really are the new generation. Okay, so there's a book. It's called Mahabharata, and it's part of the Vedas. Have you heard of the Vedas? The Vedas is a collection of texts, and so in the Mahabharata, there's someone called Arjuna. Maybe you probably never heard of him, and he had 4 brothers. I'm just teasing you, but God, who was telling me this when we were in South India with Japataka Swami's safari a couple months ago? The Revati Raman told us this hilarious joke of a government agent who is works for the educational department, and so his job is to go to different schools and just to go to the school and see how things are going. So he goes to a school in South India somewhere, and he asks a question. Okay, so everybody tell me, anybody among the students, young students, maybe 10-year-olds. So who stole Shiva's bow? And then something like that. Who stole the bow? Who stole Shiva's bow? And then no, what is it? Does anyone know that story? It's kind of, it's basically, correct me if I get it wrong, but it's so funny. It's like, who stole Shiva's bow? And then one boy says, no, sir, I did not steal it. I promise I did not steal it. And then he realizes, God, these kids, they don't even know that he's referring to Ramayan, And then, so at the end of the class, he tells the teacher, like, how come, what is this? And the teacher says, sir, I promise, I know this student And for sure, he did not steal Shiva's bow. And so the government agent realized that, God, even the teacher doesn't know this. So then he goes to see the headmaster. And then the headmaster says, sir, please, look, don't mind. I will buy a new bow for Shiva. Please don't mention this to my superiors. So the whole school. So, so how do we get to this point? Mahabharata. How did we get to the Mahabharata point? What was I saying?
What was Yudhishthir's answer?
Yes. So what did Yudhishthir say? Thank you. What did Yudhishthir say? Barka is saying something, but she's muted, and everyone else is like muted. I mean, doesn't even. Naina's smiling, but she's not saying anything. Rohit is like pretending to be really busy. What did Yudhishthir say? Come on, guys. What is the most amazing thing in this world? Get someone look it up on ChatGPT really fast. He said that the most amazing thing in this world is that even though at every second there's souls who are being sent to the court of Yamaraj, in other words, who are dying, still everybody is thinking, I will not die. I will live forever. Right? So that's Maya. So Maya, attacks everyone, not just those who are comfortable. Of course, the more comfortable you are, the more difficult it is to become Krishna conscious. True. For example, to illustrate my point that, for example, France is such a difficult field to preach Krishna consciousness. And it just so happened, surprise, surprise, that when Prabhupada was here, he made this observation. Indradyumna Swami tells this story. He was on a morning walk in Paris, and at one point, Prabhupada just stopped. He was looking at some beautiful house, and he said, these French people, they're so expert in sense gratification. So a materialist would say, oh, thank you very much, Swami. Thank you for your compliment. We're very proud of that. But from a spiritual point of view, that's a curse. If you're expert in sense gratification, not only, you have all these sensual tendencies, with the French cuisine and the romantic language and, fashion and wine and beautiful women and blah, 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 handsome men. Then samadho na vidyate, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. For those who are too attached to sense gratification, then you get bewildered. And then what happens? Samadhi, na vidyate. It doesn't happen. And so Prabhupada, he and what's worse in France, this is a small thing, in French, not only are they cursed with a sort of a sensuality, karma, but on top of that, there's all these so-called intellectuals, the existentialists, the Jean-Paul Sartre, all these guys who are behind the whole woke ideology in America, they're actually French philosophers like Derrida and Foucault, all these, they're called deconstructionists, real demons, basically, rakshasas, who have basically stolen the intellect of all the French people, so that not only are they, weak in terms of controlling their animal urges, but also they're cursed to be overly intellectual, So on both sides, they're cursed. So anyway, there's a few words on Maya. Someone else had another question. I hope that's okay, Rocky. And does anybody else have another question, or should we start our reading?
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got Gitika. You can start with that first paragraph. There's only two paragraphs, so it's a very short verse.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can all hear you, but there's a lot of noise in the background. So I don't know if it's from your microphone or from others, but
Yeah, it's from mine, so that's why.
So you know what? Maybe for the audio experience of everyone, we may just skip you. Is that okay? Because if there's all this background noise,
Yes.
don't mind, huh? So now we'll ask Mehak.
Hare
Nothing
Krishna.
nothing personal. Oh, you okay? Great. Yes. Go ahead.
The
Nothing
spiritual-
personal, Gitika. It's just for everyone's sake. The spiritual world.
The spiritual world is 3/4 of the total creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is the most exalted region. The spiritual world is naturally superior to the material world. However, Mathoba and the adjoining areas, although appearing in the material world, are considered superior to the spiritual world because the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself appeared at Mathoba. The interior forests of the Vrindavana are considered superior to Mathura because of the presence of the 12 forests, Dwadasha Vana, such as Talavana, Madhuvana, and Bhaulavana, which are famous for the various pastimes of the Lord. Thus, the interior Vrindavana forest is considered superior to Mathura, but superior to these forests is the divine Govardhana hill, because Krishna's lifted Govardhana's hill like an umbrella, rising it with his lotus-like beautiful hand to protect his associates, the denizens of Vraja, from the torrential rains sent by the angry Indra, king of the demigods. It is also at Govardhana hill that Krishna tended the cows with his cohort friends, and there also he and his rendezvous with his most beloved Sri Radha and engage in loving pastimes with her. Radha Kunda at the foot of Govardhana is superior to all because it is there that love of Krishna overflows. Advanced devotees prefer to reside at Radhakunda because this place is the site of many memories of the eternal loving affairs between Krishna and Radharani. Can I read second one?
We're only going to get one. Sorry, I was speaking. No, please. We got a lot of devotees to read, so one paragraph is our daily quota. But thank you. As you were reading, as we were reading about Prabhupada, and Prabhupada talking about the forests of Vrindavan, those forests are almost gone. At least Vrindavan city itself, And I hate to say this, but we have to call a spade a spade. I was speaking with a friend who's a like sort of a senior brahmachari who lives in Vrindavan. He's from Costa Rica. Jaiwanti, you want to say something? No? Okay. So he lives there and he's been living there for a long time. And he told me straight up, he says, the Indians, they've destroyed Vrindavan.
No, the Delhi Walas.
The Delhiwalas. The Delhiwalas have
Not Indians,
Bimla Prasad
only,
Prabhu.
exclusively the Delhi Walas.
And the Uttar Pradesh government. The Uttar Pradesh government, those in government, It's really sad. It's tragic actually, because we could say Vrindavan is literally like really the holiest place on planet Earth. Even Tirupati, and then you may have the Vatican in Rome. Places where the Virgin Mary supposedly appeared. But hey, here we're talking about Krishna, who we accept as Prabhupada coined the term, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How holy is this? It is a place where he appeared. And these Delhiwalas, as Bimla Prasad Prabhu aptly pointed out, and the corrupt, the corrupt people in government of the completely incompetent Uttar Pradesh government, totally messed it up. Now, fortunately, as Kaviraj Goswami tells us in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Vrindavan is invincible. And in other words, whatever happens on the external, visible dimension of Vrindavan cannot affect the real Vrindavan, which is actually perceived through transcendental senses. That's why even back in the 70s, Prabhupada would say, if you go to Vrindavan today, you'll just see a simple dusty village with a few cows and some pigs and open sewage. So now you go there, you still see open sewage, but on top of that, you have these skyscraper buildings and unbelievable traffic and, people drinking liquor and smoking cigarettes and prostitution and, meat eating probably also. So it's very sad but we take refuge in the fact that, we believe Vrindavan cannot be destroyed, the real Vrindavan. It's just that externally, the government and the Delhiwalas have spoiled that place, externally speaking, and it makes the experience more difficult actually, because unless you're like super advanced and you don't really, you're not disturbed by the externals, and you go to Vrindavan and you see Radha and Krishna everywhere, like even if you see huge skyscraper buildings and so on, you're so Krishna conscious that you feel and see Krishna Balaram's pastimes and so on. But unless you're like super advanced, and that's certainly my case, you're affected. You're affected by the honking, by the dirtiness, by the pollution, by the screaming, by the sinful activities there. And where are the forests? Where are the cuckoos? I remember when the first time I went to Vrindavan was, I was 19. It was 1996, I think. Yeah, 1996. And I remember you could hear cuckoos all the time. Guru Kripa Prabhu, Bimla Prasad Prabhu, you probably met him, right?
Yes.
So, he's a wonderful person. He did so much for Prabhupada, this sort of rough American. And he told me once we were taking prasadam at the Govinda's restaurant, and he told me that in the early days, that means early days of ISKCON, so 1970, 1969, after Mangal Artik, he would go out to the main road, and then he would take a japa walk for an hour and a half. And during that 1 hour and a half, maybe one car would drive by. Maybe. So anyway, let's not dwell too much on the sad fact that the Delhiwalas and the Uttar Pradesh government could have done such a better job of. I mean, if have you ever has anyone of you gone to Tirupati, to Tirumala? Bimla Prasad, you
Me.
agree? In Tirumala, they've done a
Yeah.
great job there,
Yeah.
isn't it? They've
Oh,
done a
yes.
great job.
Oh, yes.
The whole
At least
area
kept
is off
at least
limits.
kept the place clean.
They've kept the you cannot drive there. You have there's
Yes.
parking lots. Then you have buses that are organized by Tirumala to go there. It's super well organized, super clean, and Vrindavan is just trash. Again, on the external perspective, Vrindavan is always immaculate, but it's really sad. Where are those forests?
Vrindavan town.
Huh?
Vrindavan town is I would say
Vrindavan
Vrindavan
town.
town. The town is the skid row. It's the skid row of the entire.
Oh man, have you been to Skid Row? Have you been to Skid Row? Because if you type Skid Row on YouTube, Skid Row is horrible. You got
That's skid row.
huh?
That's Skid Row. I'm saying like see, you know what? Okay, I won't take much of your time.
Speak as much
My
as you like.
first Instagram post, first ever Instagram post was made in 2022. I remember clearly on Janmashtami in Vrindavan. And what was the content? The content was, okay, Vrindavan's, like Vrindavan's underground Janmashtami. You see the underground Janmashtami. So the underground Janmashtami is this crossing, like on the crossroads. You can see that it's completely jam-packed. So I was running for this Abhishek in the evening on the temple, and I couldn't because it's a traffic jam. I couldn't get past. So then I got up from the rickshaw and started running. I said, I have to go there. I cannot wait for this. And you know what I found? Why it was the traffic jam? On the crossroad, there were two liquor shops open there. And you see, it's overcrowded liquor shop, the people spilling onto the street to grab their bottle. That is Janmashtami, 9:30 in the evening. So then that was the first ever Insta post I posted on my Instagram page. The Janmashtami of the underground Vrindavan, 2022. Welcome to Vrindavan.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for depressing us even more. Now that we're crying and want to hang ourselves, let us continue. Who wants to read next? I think after Mehak we have Shobha in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, it is stated that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first visited the area of Brajabhumi, he could not at first find the location of Radhakunda. This means that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was actually searching for the exact location of Radhakunda. Finally, he found the holy spot, and there was a small pond there. He took his bath in that small pond and told his devotees that the actual Radhakunda was situated there. Later, the pond was excavated by Lord Chaitanya's devotees headed first by the 6 Goswamis, such as Rupa and Raghunatha Dasa. Presently, there is a large lake known as Radha Kunda there. Sri Rupa Goswami has given much stress to Radha Kunda because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire to find it, who, then, would give up Radha Kunda and try to reside elsewhere. No person with transcendental intelligence would do so. The importance of Radha Kunda, however, cannot be realized by other Vaishnava sampradayas, nor can persons uninterested in the devotional service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understand the spiritual importance and divine nature of Radha Kunda. Thus, Radha Kunda is mainly worshipped by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the followers of Lord Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bimala Prasad Prabhu, can you tell us the story of the appearance of Radhakund? I know for a fact you know it better than me. Bimala Prasad Prabhu. Maybe he's going to come on right now. Sorry. I didn't realize it was on mute. Prasad Prabhu. No, just when we need you. Just when we need you the most. You disappear from our vision. Because I don't even, I'll be honest, I don't know that story very well. Like Prabhupada doesn't dwell on it much, and I haven't read so much of like the sort of the Rasika, and so I don't want to get it wrong. Bimal Prasad Prabhu, what's up? I'm going to send him a WhatsApp message. I'm going to write a very Vaishnava type of message. Dude, where are you?
Here I am, sorry. Better than late than never.
So please, it worked, you see. So please, if you don't mind, can you tell us the story of the appearance of Radhakund?
Yeah, of course. Like, well,
Cool.
I need to read this or tell the story.
No, you tell the story, because Prabhupada doesn't mention in Nectar of Instruction.
Yeah, that's a story. It's just I mean, how Krishna, that's the fight.
Yeah, the killing of the bulls and
I fight. After the
so
fight.
tell us if it's okay with you.
Yeah, it's okay. It's more.
Where is that mentioned? Is it in the Puranas or?
I have to see. No. That's why. See, before even opening my mouth, that's what I was thinking. I know the story, but what is the source?
Yeah, what is the source? You see, this is
the
an
source.
important point.
Okay, I'll tell the story, but I'll try to find the source.
You'll tell the story and then check if it's accurate or not.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So if I tell the story, and I'm telling all of you, there's with the Savior. The Savior is
it might be a speculation.
Yeah, hear the story, but unless and until I supply you with the accurate reference, just like nice
Take it with
storytelling
a grain of
exercise.
salt.
Yeah, with a grain of salt. That's the point. So then it's like storytelling as well. Okay.
But we heard it many times, so it must be legitimate. Otherwise, we're in big trouble.
Like in ISKCON, God knows. Like I dare not touch stories which has not been directly said by Prabhupada, because I've seen this like a zillion times. Zillion times. Most popular stories are stories. Anyway, so the story goes like this: that after Krishna kills Arishtasur, the bull demon, so the gopis, they start harassing Krishna. They say that you are a cow killer. You see, you have killed the bull, so it's a cow. You have killed a cow, you have sinned, you are a sinner. Don't even come near us and dare to touch us. This is like the Vedic custom is like one should not even see the face of a sinner. So it's just like you're a sinner. You dare not come to us, and like you should go and you should atone for your sins. You should atone for your sins. And then Krishna is like perplexed that what sin have I committed? But anyway, because after all, this bull was attacking the whole Vrindavan, like residents, including the gopis. So then but anyway, he said, okay, fine. So what am I supposed to do? So these gopis, they say that you should go to all the holy places and take bath in the holy rivers and the tanks that's there. So to purify yourself, to atone yourself. So Krishna says, oh, that's not a big deal. So Krishna says, I can call all the holy rivers here. So he orders all the holy rivers there in Vrindavan, and he just like I think yeah. So that area, the hoof where before charging towards Krishna, Aristasur dug the ground. You know, that's the nature of the bulls, to dig the ground and before they charge. So that place, that specific place where the bull, like with his hooves, dug that ground, that's like a small hole there. So Krishna invites all these holy rivers in their personified forms, the devis, the demigoddesses, like Ganga being the demigod, Saraswati being the demigoddess. So all these demigoddesses. So Krishna does that, and then he, like, all these demigoddesses, they came to serve Krishna. Okay, yes, our master. He said, like, I want all of you to gather in this, like the hoof print, the hoof print created by the Aristasur. It was a big hoof print because it was a huge bull. So okay, I want all of you to gather here, and then that's it. And then I'll take part in this. Okay. So all the demigods, goddesses, all these rivers in their personified forms, they gathered in that, and that small the small hole. It is not like, actually, when we go to when they clean the Radha Kund, they take out all the water from the Radha Kund, and you can see these pictures in maybe Chandrasekhara Prabhu will be showing you the picture. Like, you can see the original pictures called Kankan Kund. It's actually very small compared to the Radha Kund you see now. So then, okay, so it happened, and Krishna, while this hoof print was there and the water was like filling in, Radharani, and specifically the gopis of Radharani, they got very much, like, jealous. They got really envious. They said, like, what? Like, we will create an even bigger kunda than what Krishna has created for himself by this bull demon. And they, all of them, now how will they dig the land? They didn't had any appliances, like, it's like you need to have those things to you generally use for during the farming. They didn't had anything with them. So what did they do? They took out their bangles, they broke them, and with the broken bangles, they started digging that place. Okay, so that's why that place is called Kankan Kunda. Kankan means black bangle. And they dug a bigger hole than what was created by Aristasur. And then they said, like, all this water should come to there, like we command by the, like, by on the strength of Radharani. And then basically most of these rivers are gopis in the spiritual forms. So who is gonna refuse, or what to speak of refuse, miss the chance to serve Radharani? So then so they also came and they filled it, and then Krishna went to his kunda and bathed in his kunda, and Radharani and the gopis, they said, oh, we are not going to touch that kunda. That kunda has now become contaminated, polluted, because all the sins have been taken by that kunda, Krishna's kunda. Yeah, that's a polluted kunda. We are not going to take bath there. We'll take bath here in this kunda, and Radha's kunda. So then they went and they took bath there, and then and then this was like ultimately resolved, and they embraced each other, Radha Krishna, and then they said that this kunda and that other kunda, which is dug side by side, so they are one and the same in that sense for Krishna Prema, and whoever takes bath in this, they get the service of Radharani, or they get the service of Krishna. So then ultimately the Krishna came to Radha Kund and took bath, and the gopis went to Krishna Kund and took bath, and then together, and then that was the full moon night, and on that full moon night, the water of this kunda also overflows to the other kunda. It even happens today as we go, like on those days, the days of Radha Kunda appearance. More than once.
It's insane.
It's insane. But I went there, and like, it's like 2004, 5,
Oh my
6,
God.
until 2007, not after that.
I went there like maybe 3-4 years ago, and I kid you not, at one
No,
point
come
it was
on.
yes, seriously, it was so crowded that at one point I made it an experiment. I lifted both my legs, in the crowd, and I did not fall even one centimeter. Like the pressure of the
Listen,
people was so tight
listen.
that actually I lifted my leg and I was like floating. The number of people. I mean, hey, at least you can't complain about the lack of enthusiasm. Okay, maybe it's
That's there, but yeah,
materially motivated, but at least
yeah,
it's amazing.
yeah. So that's like, yeah, I am talking about around like 17, 18 years ago. I used to go practically every Radhakrishna appearance. And then, so that's like the water of both the kundas, they like kind of, overflow, and then they touch each other. And that is the exact moment when they say we should take bath at night. So that, because like Krishna is meeting Radharani. So it's like that. That is the story, like any story. Okay. I do not know. Like, I understood one thing, that no matter how sweet the stories are, they must be accompanied by a siddhanta of devotion.
That's a very important point.
Yes.
And some actual reference.
That's what I'm saying. So you can like, that's one thing I've learned the hard way in ISKCON. Then you have to learn to tell the difference between a story, which is a pastime, and then a story to gather money.
Right.
Okay, go on, please. Thank you, Prabhu.
Jai.
Yes.
Okay, well, let us continue then to our next verse, the verse number 10. Let's go to it. It's a little bit longer purport, but here Rupa Goswami is basically telling us of all the kinds of people and following and going all the way up to the gopis. It's a wonderful verse. And let's just not read the Sanskrit because it's just so long. Karmi bhyak parito hare priyataya, etc. With we fall at the lotus feet of this verse if it has lotus feet. And since time is limited, we can go to the next reader, who is Simal, Mrs. Sindhu.
Did I read translation?
Yeah, you can read the translation. And actually, it's pretty long. So maybe you can just read the translation if that's okay.
In the Shastra, it is said that of all types of fruitative workers, he who is advanced in knowledge of the higher values of life is favored by the Supreme Lord Hari. Out of many such people who are advanced in knowledge, Jnani, one who is practically liberated by virtue of his knowledge, may take to devotional service. He is superior to the others. However, one who has actually attained prema, pure love of Krishna, is superior to him.
Let me stop you.
Are exalted above all the advanced devotees.
Wait, let me stop you here, and you can continue after. But sorry, allow me to make a point here. What verse from the Bhagavad Gita does this remind you? That, assuming that when you attain love, you've actually surrendered to Krishna. And you've surrendered to Krishna after doing many lifetimes of Jnana Yoga. What's that verse in the Gita that talks specifically about this? Starts with the word Bahu. Bahu.
Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Jnana.
Yeah, go ahead, Roshni. Very good.
Come on, go ahead.
Prapadyate Vasudevah Sarvam Iti Samahatma Sudurlabha.
Yes, very good. So Bahunam Janmanam Ante, after many janmas. Bahunam Janmanam Ante, Jnanavan, someone who finally has knowledge. So, the Jnani who's searching for the truth and trying to merge with Brahman and so on. Bahunam Janmanam Ante, Jnanavan, someone who owns or who has knowledge. What does he do? Prapadyate. And so what's assumed here is that, when you surrender to Krishna, you reawaken your love of Krishna. You reawaken you're blessed to reawaken your dormant Krishna prema, which we believe on the authority of Chaitanya Charitamrita is already there in the heart. Does anyone know? I mean, I know we're not supposed to ask Chaitanya Charitamrita verses, but does anyone know this verse about how Krishna prema is already there in the heart?
Starts with Nitya.
Nitya,
Starts
Nitya,
with
Nitya Krishna. What is it? Nitya Siddha. Nitya
yeah,
Siddha Krishna. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. Sadhya Kabu. No, it's not to be obtained from an outside source. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabu Noi. So coming back to our verse here, or to, Rupa Goswami mentions that, okay, someone who is searching for knowledge, okay, that's good. It's better than the karmi, the fruitive worker, who's just thinking, the karmi bhya, who's just thinking, okay, how can I work? Maybe do some puja to the demigods if I'm pious, but just think really of just money and bringing money for my family and having some sense gratification and maybe hope to take birth in Swarga Loka in my next life. Maybe that's a karmi. So above that is the jnani who at least is realizing, okay, this material world is a lost cause. No matter how I cut the cake, let me focus on metaphysical pleasure. Let me try to be one with God, with the divine, mukti, 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 moksha, moksha, moksha. And out of those, finally, is the bhakta who has prema. He's superior to all of them. So please go on, Simal.
Because
The
they are all
gopis.
totally dependent upon Shri
Maybe you
Krishna.
can you read the sentence starting with the gopis?
The gopis are exalted above all the advanced devotee because they are always totally dependent upon Shri Krishna, the transcendental Godhead boy. Among the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna. Her Kunda lake is as profoundly dear to Lord Krishna as this most beloved of the gopis. Who then will not reside at Radha Kunda and in a spiritual body surcharged with ecstatic devotional feeling? Aprakritabhava renders loving service to the divine couple Shri Shri Radha Govinda who perform their Astakalya Leela, their eternal eightfold daily pastimes. Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the bank of Radha Kunda are the most fortunate people in the universe.
And yet, coming back to that same story, Prabhupada told that the disciple to go tell that pujari in Vrindavan, that in your next life I bless you, that you can take birth in America and serve Lord Chaitanya's Kirtan movement, So if you all listened or read carefully, and this is amazing actually, why is it that the gopis are exalted above all the other devotees? What's the one reason that Rupa Goswami gives? I think Krishna Priya, you raised your hand first.
Hi Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat because Prabhu, whatever they are doing, they always do it for the satisfaction of Krishna, which is the center.
Yes, but that's not what Rupa Goswami says in this verse.
They are totally dependent on
No
Krishna.
Mahaprasad for you, sorry. You lose 500 burfies. Who said how you like these game shows? For 500 rupees, can you answer the question? When was the Independence Day and so on? So, yeah, sorry. But who did? But it was a good answer. But specifically here, who was it? You, Jai Tulsi, who mentioned that
Hare
that they're
Krishna.
always dependent. They're always totally dependent. So anyway, whoever said it, that's the answer. And maybe someone, Nena, good. Maybe someone can mute yourself because there's like all this background again. Thank you. Yeah. So it's amazing, huh? That's what qualifies them as the greatest devotees because they're dependent on Krishna. They're dependent on Krishna. So dependence on Krishna is considered by Rupa Goswami as the greatest qualification of a devotee. So you have to ask yourselves, and we have to ask ourselves, how much are you depending on Krishna? It's a good question, actually. How much are we actually depending on Krishna?
Completely, Prabhuji.
What'd you say?
Completely, we are dependent on Krishna.
But
I am dependent on Krishna.
oh, congratulations! I mean, that's a nice feeling. At the same time, And remember, like those who are really completely dependent on Krishna, they're the most exalted devotees in existence. So that probably means that we could be a little bit more dependent on Krishna, maybe, you know. And then actually that connects to the holy name. Like, to what degree are we chanting attentive rounds, for example? When we're chanting Hare Krishna, how much do we actually listen to each name, you know, Hare and Krishna and Rama? In that sense, actually, chanting attentive japa is being dependent on Krishna, interestingly enough. Yeah. So maybe now, again, you can continue reading, Simal, to finish the verse. I think you're muted.
Yeah, I read it the whole verse. Do I read
Did you?
purport?
Oh, you finished the whole thing. I'm sorry. I was so much thinking of that sentence. Yeah. So okay, right. And of all the gopis, it's pretty self-explanatory. Of all the gopis, the greatest devotee is Radharani, right? And her Kund is the most exalted. And so, yeah, again, that question, you know, those who execute devotional service on the bank of Radhakund are the most fortunate people in the universe. And yet, as I mentioned, Prabhupada himself, for example, left Radhakund. I mean, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also, okay, he didn't leave India, but he established 64 mats all over India. He traveled to South India and so on. Even Lord Chaitanya, we could say Lord Chaitanya also traveled all over. So on the one side, okay, Rupa, I mean, not to minimize what Rupa Goswami says, but we see in the lives of the devotees that they're not all like obsessed with living in Radhakund. Like we explained last time, and we all agreed, serving the mission, serving the instruction of the spiritual master, which basically means in Kali Yuga helping to spread Lord Chaitanya, spread the Yuga Dharma, that's considered to be as important, if not more important, than thinking of your own bhajan. There's a distinction that Prabhupada makes between the Goshtyanandi, and the Goshtyanandi and oh my God, yeah, Goshtyanandi and Bhajananandi. Thank you. So whoever said that can describe what's the difference between a Goshtyanandi and a Bhajanandi.
It's me, but I'm not sure what's correct difference.
You just remember the terms, huh? Well, that's good already. So does anyone know the difference between the Goshtyanandi and the Bhajananandi?
Bhajananandi means who always busy in the Krishna consciousness or in bhajan kirtana, and Goshthanandi is who is always busy in the material world, materialistic activities.
Nope.
Maybe.
Sorry. No Burfi for you either. But good try. You got that. You got half of it. The Bhajanandi well. So if no one else is there, Krishna Priya is going to give it a shot. If you turn on your mic, Krishna Priya, you had your hand up. Are you trying to redeem yourself from your terrible error from last time?
Yes, Prabhu, Bhajananandi is one who is like always in chanting of Krishna's name, and I think so Goshthanandi is one who's also involved in preaching, but the Bhajananandi is not involved in preaching. I don't know. It's just
Yeah, you got it right. This time you get the Maha. The Goshthanandi is thinking about how to spread Krishna consciousness, how to serve the mission of Lord Chaitanya, how to spread Krishna consciousness, and therefore is thinking of others' spiritual welfare, and therefore goes out of Vrindavan and goes to New York and so on. And the Bhajananandi is nice, but he or she is just thinking of his own salvation, his own bhajan. Just going to go to Radhakund. I'm just going to think of myself. I'm just going to chant my 64 rounds a day and offer my bhoga to my Thakur and take bath, 8 times a day in Radhakund. And hey, that's glorious. We're not criticizing that. That's absolutely glorious. In fact, Rupa Goswami says there's nothing greater that you can be doing. But actually there is. And that is to be spreading the glories of Radhakund to others, to getting other souls who are, going in the direction of hell because of the sinful activities that they're involved with in ignorance, and getting them to somehow accept the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and turn their boat around and go towards the direction of Krishna. Neha, you're in agreement? You raised your thumbs? Yes. Okay, so let us continue with the next, with actually the first paragraph. And who is next on the reading list? It is Barka.
Hare Krishna. At the present moment, almost everyone is engaged in some kind of fruitive activity. Those who are desirous of gaining material profits by working are called karmis or fruitive workers. All living entities within this material world have come under the spell of Maya. This is described in the Vishnu Puran 6.7.61. Vishnu Shakti Para Prokta Kshetra Gyakya Tatha Para Avidya Karma Samgyanaya Tritiya Shakti Ishyate. Sages have divided the energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead into 3 categories, namely the spiritual energy, marginal energy, and the material energy. The material energy is considered to be the 3rd-class energy, Tritiya Shakti. Those living beings within the jurisdiction of the material energy sometimes engage themselves like dogs and hogs in working very hard simply for sense gratification. However, in this life or after executing pious activities in the next life, some karmis become strongly attracted to performing various kinds of sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas. Thus, on the strength of their pious merit, they are elevated to heavenly planets. Actually, those who perform sacrifices strictly according to the Vedic injunctions are elevated to the moon and planet above the moon. As mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Shine 9.21, the results of their so-called pious activities, they again return to the earth, which is called Martyaloka, the place of death. Although such persons may be elevated to the heavenly planets by their pious activities, and also they may enjoy life there for many thousands of years, they nonetheless must return to this planet when the results of their pious activities are exhausted.
Thank you. Is everyone clear with this? Is there any confusion about this? This Kshinye Punya Martya Lokam Vishanti idea. Everyone's clear with that? You do materialistic, you do pious. Oh, Gitika, you have a question or you understand?
Understand.
Okay, good. So it's clear. That's the karmi. It's funny because we tend to criticize, the karmis, but actually karmis are very rare. Karmis are pious followers of the Vedic injunctions who are not pure Vaishnavas. They don't worship, Vishnu, or if they do, at least they're not worshiping Vishnu for selfless reasons, for just getting more bhakti and just serving and nothing more. But hey, they're super pious. I mean, compared to the materialists you see in Karachi or in Bombay or Delhi or New York or Paris or Sydney, who have nothing to do with spirituality, who are atheists, who are moral relativists, and who engage in all the sinful activities you can imagine, the karmi is glorious, in relatively speaking. And the karmi will take birth maybe in some heavenly planets. But what happens then? And that's what this very famous sentence, Kshinye Martya Lokra, Kshinye Punya Martya Lokam Vishanti, what does that mean actually? You all know Hindi. What does that mean? What does that mean? Kshinye Punya. Punya, what does punya mean?
Pious activities.
Pious activities.
Good karma.
And Martya Lokam means?
This earth. Planet.
This earth. Very good. And Kshine means when it's finished. Kshaya, finished. So when you finish your good karma,
you come to this earth planet.
You come back down. You come back down to planet Earth. So you may do a lot of punya, you know, and then next life, all of a sudden you're like, you know, on the planet of Indra or something, and you're just drop dead gorgeous. Your armpits don't smell. On the contrary, you smell of lotus flowers. Everything about you is just gorgeous and beautiful. You're like young for thousands and lakhs of years of, you know, and you grow up immediately into a youthful body, you know, and then you don't grow old, and all you do just is enjoy. You have this soma rasa, and you know, you're having a big party up there basically. But then, you know, but nothing's free in this world. Nothing's free in this world. Nothing material is free. So you just before going to the heavenly planets, you put a lot of money into your credit card. So you went up there with a credit card with, you know, tons, like millions of dollars. But every time you get it, you drink a sip of somarasa, every time you have, you know, sensual enjoyment, the credit is going out from your credit card. And at one point, you know, payment cannot be processed, nor insufficient funds on the card. And then at that point, back on planet Earth, you know, back on planet Earth. And this is what Krishna, you know, criticizes in Bhagavad Gita. This up and down going, it's useless. You go up there, you enjoy it, you finish your credit card, you come back to Earth, hopefully in a human body there, you work really hard, you do this yagya, that yagya, this tapasya, all, and then, okay, you get promoted back up there with a big fat credit card, you max it out, and then you come back down, and you go up. It's just like back and forth, back for what? So the devotee is like, I don't want any of that. I'm done with that. I want to go where I can enjoy, actually. And the motivation is not to enjoy, but the devotee has faith that, wait, if I can be with Krishna and the cowherd boys, if I can be with Krishna and the manjaris and the gopis in Goloka Vrindavan with the cows, man, I'm going to be enjoying way more. First of all, way more. It's just inconceivable more fun, and it's eternal. There's no coming down. There's no, you know, there's no maxing out your credit card there, you know. Yeah, so the karmis are better than the V karmis. Have you all read the Sri Upanishad yet? Well, you'll see in the Sri Upanishad, Prabhupada mentions the word karmi and vikarmi. So karmi is someone who does what? Who follows what? The karmi is
Vedic
someone,
knowledge.
yes, the Vedic injunctions, but you know, the materialistic side, the karma kanda, right? And so someone who acts in defiance, who doesn't follow even those basic rules, and who just acts like an animal, what is that name? It also has the word karmi in there.
Vikarm.
Vikarmi. Very good. So you all know it. Great. Okay, so now we have Hitika. If you'd like to lead us in reading the next paragraph. This is the position of all karmis.
Hare Krishna. This is the position of all karmis, including those who act piously and those who act impiously. On this planet, we find many businessmen, politicians, and others who are simply interested in material happiness. They attempt to earn money by all means, not considering whether such means are pious or impious. Such people are called karmis, or gross materialists. Among the karmis are some vikarmis. Some people who act without the guidance of Vedic knowledge. Those who act on the basis of Vedic knowledge perform sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Lord Vishnu and to receive benedictions from him. In this way, they are elevated to higher planetary system. Such karmi are superior to the vikarmis, for they are faithful to the directions of the Veda and are certainly dear to Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita 4.11, Krishna says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tamasataiva bhajame aham. In whatever way one
surrenders unto me, I reward him accordingly. Krishna is so kind that he fulfilled the desires of the karmis and jnanis, not to speak of the bhaktas. Although the karmis are sometimes elevated to higher planetary systems, as long as they remain attached to fruitive activities, they must accept new material bodies after death. If one acts piously, he can attain a new body among the demigods in the higher planetary systems, or he may attain some other position in which he can enjoy a higher standard of material happiness. On the other hand, those who are engaged in impious activities are degraded and take birth as animals, trees, and plants. Those fruitive actors who do not care for the Vedic directions, Vikamis, are not appreciated by learned scientific persons as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.4. Numam pramattah purata vikarma yad indriya pritaya apkarnoti न साधु मन्येयत आत्मनो यम् अस्यान् अपि कलेशद आशदेः. Should I read the translation?
Yeah. Please just read the translation and stop at the end of it, please.
Apprentices who work hard like dogs and hawks simply for sense gratification and are actually mad. They simply perform all kinds of
Yes. So it's kind of hard for us to relate to this, but what's basically is Prabhupada is telling us here is that look, a material body is the real problem. The body we have, that's the problem. And even if you go to the Svargaloka, you're going to have a body. But having a body means what? Even if it's like the most beautiful, the most youthful, the most nice smelling, etc. What does it mean when you have a material body?
You are bound, you are conditioned so.
You're a conditioned soul. Yeah. And what happens to that body? Someone else. That's a good answer. I want more people to answer.
Destroy at the end.
Exactly. Destroyed at the end. Good point. So it's bound to be destroyed. So that's the fundamental problem for a soul. So the soul's eternal. We're eternal. And yet we are placed in these bodies. And even if you get the top quality, I don't know if in Karachi, what is the Beverly Hills of Karachi? Like a really posh area of Karachi. What is it called? What is it called?
Lifton or defense.
Nifton.
DHA.
DHA and Nifton.
Yes.
Okay, so whether you live in Difton or DHA, or whether you live, in a really bad area, it's kind of like whether you have a really bad material body or an incredible material body, that body is gonna die. Because that's the name of the game here in this material world. Every physical body dies. And if you're a soul, there's, to begin with, no matter how you cut the cake, as they say, there's a incompatibility. I think Prabhupada even mentions it in that prayer, in his commentary to the record, the Hare Krishna record. An incompatible situation. There's an incompatibility to begin with. We're eternal and we're living in a temporary place. And why is it temporary? Well, whatever. I mean, not why, whatever, but the point is it's temporary. The body that we have is temporary. The world that we live is temporary, and yet we're eternal. And so therefore, Prabhupada refers to this incredible, so powerful verse from the Bhagavatam. Nunam pramata kurutevi karma pramata. Pramata means crazy. And in Old English, you say mad. You see? And so in modern English, mad means someone who's angry. But in older English, it means someone who's angry, you see? In normal English, it's someone who's angry, furious, infuriated. But another way to say mad, which is an older way to say it, is crazy, insane. You see, in mainly British English. Remember, Prabhupada was raised by the British Raj, so his English was quite English in some way. So in American English, when you say, man, you're totally mad, he was mad, she was very mad, it means angry. But in British English, when you say someone is mad, that means extremely foolish, irrational, ill-advised, right? So here, the Bhagavatam is telling us that, Rishabhadev is telling his sons that people who are running after sense gratification, they're crazy. They're crazy. And why are they crazy? Because they're ready to do anything to get sense gratification. And what's amazing is that he's saying it's not worth it, because by doing material sense gratification, you get a body. Whether it's a great body, again, in Beverly Hills, or or high, Svargaloka body or Patalaloka body, but the point is you get a body, and the body itself is frustration, automatically unavoidable frustration, right? Why? Someone said it already. Why? Because it is
It is just temporary and destroyable.
Yes, it's temporary. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Let's keep on reading. Roshni, are you ready? You can read right after. The purpose of human life is to get out of the threefold miserable conditions.
Hare Krishna. The purpose of human life is to get out of the threefold miserable conditions which are concomitant with material existence. Unfortunately, fruitive workers are mad to earn money and acquire temporary material comforts by all means. Therefore, they risk being degraded to lower species of life. Materialists foolishly make many plans to become happy in this material world. They do not stop to consider that they will live only for a certain number of years, out of which they must spend the major portion acquiring money for sense gratification. Ultimately, such activities end in death. Materialists do not consider that after giving up the body, they may become embodied as lower animals, plants, or trees. Thus, all their activities simply defeat the purpose of life. Not only are they born ignorant, but they act on the platform of ignorance, thinking that they are getting material benefits in the shape of skyscraper buildings, big cars, honorable positions, and so on. The materialists do not know that in the next life they will be degraded and that all their activities simply serve as parabhava, their defeat. That is the verdict of Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.5. Parabhavas tavad abodha jataha.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone have any question on this heavy statements by Prabhupada? By the way, here's the verse that Prabhupada refers to. It's the next one, and that's in that same series of verses by Rishabhadev to his sons. And here's what Rishabhadev tells his sons in 555. He says, as long as one does not inquire about the spiritual values of life, one is defeated and subjected to miseries arising from ignorance. Be it sinful or pious, karma has its result in actions. If a person is engaged in any kind of karma, whether, punya or sinful life, his mind is called karmatmaka, colored with fruitive activities. As long as the mind is impure, consciousness is unclear, and as long as one is absorbed in fruitive activity, he has to accept, again, this idea of a material body. So, it's not that we're against the material body. I mean, okay, that's why Prabhupada says, make the best use of a bad bargain. Did you ever hear that statement by Prabhupada? You have to make the best use of a bad, you got a bad deal, it's some business deal, and now you have some, second-class merchandise, or you got cheated and you got a bad deal, but okay, now you make the best out of it. You get it, you deal with it, and you make the best use of a bad bargain. So what's the bad bargain? What's our bad bargain? What's the bad bargain?
I think this body.
Yeah, it's the body. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, this is the bad bargain is that we're in this material world. We rejected Krishna, and we're just roaming around, sometime in a Pakistani body, sometime in a French body, sometime in a woman's body, sometimes in a dog body, sometimes in a, up and down, whatever. It goes around So we make the best of use of a bad bargain. So now it's like, okay, hey, we've got this human body. Somehow we got in touch with Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan movement. Somehow we're taking the Bhakti Sastri course. Somehow we're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Nam, Hare Hare. Somehow we believe that God is Lord Krishna and that Radharani is his girlfriend, or that, that there's this divine couple, Radha Krishna, who's the ultimate object of our love and our devotion, and we belong with them, in that tight, inconceivably wonderful, or this inconceivable and described as, wonderful place where every soul is friendly with every other soul, and everyone's just so happy, basking in the happiness of love between Radha and Krishna, and Krishna and Balaram and all the residents of Vrindavan. So, we're in good hands. We're doing the right thing with our lives. We're doing the right thing with our lives. And we got to keep doing it. Any question, or should we continue with, I think now, who do we have? Roshni, you just read, right?
Yes.
So now we have Pinky Kumari.
Hare Krishna. One should therefore be eager to understand the science of the soul, Atma Tattva, unless one comes to the platform of Atma Tattva, by which one understands that the soul and the body is oneself. One remains on the platform of ignorance. Out of thousands and even millions of ignorant people who are wasting their time simply gratifying their senses, one may come to the platform of knowledge and understand higher values of life. Such a person is called Jnani. The Jnani knows that fruitive activities will bind him to material existence and cause him to transmigrate from one kind of body to another. As indicated in Srimad Bhagavatam, by the term Sharira Bandha, bound to bodily existence, as long as one maintains any conception of sense enjoyment, his mind will be absorbed in karma, fruitive activity, and this will oblige him to transmigrate from one body to another. Should I continue?
No, we'll have someone else read. And actually, we'll just skip we'll skip two paragraphs, and we'll go to the paragraph which it will be read to us by Ria, starting with of all these devotees. But before that, in what you just read, there's that term that as long as you're thinking of sense gratification, you're screwed, basically. Where is it? Sharira Bandha. As long as one maintains any conception of sense enjoyment, basically you have to transmigrate from one body to another. But you may know this story that Prabhupada told Jayapataka Swami. Jayapataka Swami told this story in his Prabhupada Memories episode. You all know this Prabhupada Memories series on YouTube? Yes? Okay. If you don't, Krishna Priya does. It's the first person I saw nodding. You got to watch this, guys. You have to watch this before going to sleep, or it's wonderful. Siddhanta Prabhu, he's like this totally... You'd almost never notice him. He's just like super humble, Prabhupada disciple, short. He wears... anyway, who cares what he wears? He's just very humble. He never pushes himself to the mic or anything. And he did an unbelievable service. He collected all these Prabhupada devotees, disciples who told their personal stories with Prabhupada. There's like 80 episodes, just amazing stories. And so in the one that Jayapataka Swami made a long time ago now, because he was the first one to be interviewed, he tells the story, maybe you've heard it, right? Where Prabhupada was being really heavy, and he said, unless you're a 100% Krishna conscious, yeah, Krishna Priya is like that. For those who haven't heard it, allow me to paraphrase. He tells story. Prabhupada's like super heavy class, and saying what Prabhupada is just saying here, as long as one maintains any conception of sense enjoyment, he will oblige, that mind absorbed in fruitive activity will oblige him to transmigrate from one body to another. So Prabhupada was really heavy. Unless you're 100% Krishna conscious, you will not go back to the spiritual world. And he saw that devotees were like kind of depressed, like, oh my God, what's the hope, So Prabhupada ended the class. Just as he ended the class, he says, even if you're 90% Krishna conscious, Krishna will still take you back. You heard that story? Raise your hand for those who have not heard it, because if everyone's heard it, then it's kind of okay. At least we have a few who haven't heard it. Good, so it's worth it. So this is a great story. So Prabhupada says, like, okay, even if you're 90% Krishna conscious, Krishna will take you back. And so he sees devotees are like, there's some hope. There's some hope for me. And then he walks down the Vyasasana and he's walking towards the exit of the temple room, and he stops in the middle of the temple room and he looks at the devotees and he says, even if you are 80% Krishna conscious, Krishna will still take you back. And now the devotees are like, Jai! They've gone from gloom and desperation and like, oh my God, we're going to take birth again, because who among us is 100% pure? No way, to like 80%. It's like, wow, okay, there's a chance, there's a hope for me. And then according to Japtak Swami, Prabhupada walked and just as he got to the door, the devotees opened the door for him, and he took his first step out, and he looked back into the temple room, and he told the devotees, even if you are 70% Krishna conscious, Krishna will still take you back. And he took his chadar and put it around his neck, and with his chin up walked out, and all the devotees were like, Haribol! So that's, I guess that's the mercy of the Vaishnavas, they give us whatever percent we're missing, as long, and so I guess as long as we're sincere, see, that's the thing, we have to be sincere. That's what I've learned. I think that's my conclusion. Let's say after all these years of devotional service, is the bottom line is we just have to be sincere. That's the bottom line. Okay, so let us go to that paragraph that starts with of all these devotees, because we already talked about the Gyani, so we understand what the Gyani is, and Riya, you have the paragraph that starts with of all these devotees, the gopis are.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Jai Hare Krishna.
All of these devotees, the gopis, are recognized as the superior because they do not know anything other than satisfying Krishna, nor do the gopis expect any return from Krishna. Indeed, sometimes Krishna puts them into extreme suffering by separating himself from them. Nonetheless, they cannot forget Krishna. When Krishna left Vrindavan for Mathura, the gopis become the most dejected and spend the rest of their lives simply crying in separation from Krishna. This means that in one sense they were never actually separated from Krishna. There is no difference between thinking of Krishna and associating with him. Rather, Vipralambha Seva, thinking of Krishna is in separation, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did, is far better than serving Krishna directly. Thus, of all the devotees who have developed unalloyed devotional love for Krishna, the gopis are most exalted. And out of all these exalted gopis, Srimati Radharani is the highest. No one can excel the devotional service of Srimati Radharani. Indeed, even Krishna cannot understand the attitude of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, he took her position and appeared as the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just to understand her transcendental feelings.
Thank you. So much stuff there. Everyone not understand this notion of Vipralambha Seva? How is it that the gopis were all crying? Like Krishna made them cry. They were like crying. They were like this somewhere. I think one of the Goswamis described. They were like zombies. They were just like, like zombie movies. They're just like walking. They're just dead bodies, just walking dead bodies. After Krishna left, they're crying for the rest of their lives. Prabhupada says it right here. They spend the rest of their lives crying in separation. And yet we preach that, no, we worship a really fun, loving God who's like really kind, and we just have really a lot of fun with Krishna. And yet, Prabhupada says the gopis spend the whole rest of their lives crying. So what's the understanding here? This is quite rasika stuff. Can anyone explain this? Okay, we got Krishna Priya. Anyone else?
They have not yet been contaminated.
Nonsense. Ignore that comment. Who else?
Repeat your question.
What's the question again? The question is, the question is twofold. What is Vipralamba Seva, and how can we claim that Krishna is very merciful? Like we hear Krishna is so merciful. So how is he being merciful to the gopis by putting them in this suffering? How is that mercy? How is that mercy? The secret is actually in one sentence that Prabhupada says here. He injects a theological truth claim. Well, okay, Hitika, you didn't answer much today.
Maybe it's because thinking of Krishna is better than serving him directly.
Yeah, and why is it? Why is it better? Well, first of all, is it any different?
Thinking of Krishna and the serving of Krishna is the same level.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, Hitika, you got it right. That's the premise, the theological premise that is established here is that because Krishna is absolute, whether you're thinking of Krishna or you're with Krishna face to face, you're with Krishna. There's no difference. Now, when you have an intense longing for, let's say, Coca-Cola, that longing for Coca-Cola is not going to satisfy you unless you actually get the cold, fresh Coca-Cola right in front of you and you drink it. But you're not supposed to because there's caffeine in it. But assuming Coca-Cola doesn't have caffeine in it, the analogy works. But in the case of Krishna, he's absolute. And therefore, the thought of Krishna is Krishna, non-different. And so the answer to why, we still didn't get the answer. Why then is it, why was Krishna showed, how did Krishna show extra mercy to the gopis then? By making them suffer and leaving Vrindavan and making them cry. It's a question of intensity. Okay, Krishna Priya, go for it.
It's devotional service due to unalloyed devotional service.
Yeah, okay. Maybe Krishna Priya want to add to that. It's good, but...
Prabhu, as per my little understanding, I think to make gopis glorious.
To make the gopis glorious, okay, that's a side thing, but why would, it would be kind of a sadistic thing, like God wants to make his devotees glorious, but he's going to make them suffer. Yeah. No, I'm looking for something else. I'm looking for something else here. Devika, you were warm, like warmness.
Like when you are just away from the beloved one, you feel much more love for that
There you go.
person.
We're talking about intensity. We're talking
Yes.
about intensity, you see.
That, and if you just when you just like I can't express, but I know.
Yeah, you got it. You explained it.
Yes, Prabhu, as you say, intensity, distance is directly proportional to the intensity.
Long distance
when
love.
you get the thing, Prabhuji,
the
let me-
gopis
can I
have
say?
more.
Prabhuji,
Yeah,
it's
all of a
like
sudden everyone's answered now.
when you get the thing, you don't you just get it. But when you don't get that
Right.
beloved one and you
Yeah.
are away from him, so you just feel
You
that
feel more
feeling.
intense.
Yes, that feeling is much more
Is
than
more
that.
intense. And in the case of Krishna, as opposed to us, or a bottle of Coca-Cola, or some mundane soul who plays, the role of the husband or the wife, although it's, that feeling is genuine, but still when you're, for us, like, or for, let's say, your husband or your wife, thinking of them and like the thought of them and them themselves, there is a big difference because they're not, they're souls, but then they have a physical body, and then you're attached to their body and to their mind, which is temporary. It's not absolute, But in the case of Krishna, he's completely absolute, completely absolute. So therefore, the answer is you got it. Yeah, Krishna left to actually, and so externally it seems like Krishna left them, but then him leaving them made their feeling of separation even more intense. And because Krishna is absolute and they're thinking of Krishna, they're actually with Krishna, but now they're with Krishna with more intensity. And that's how Krishna is merciful to them, because he's deepening the intensity of their love for him. Far out, huh? Vipralamba seva, service and separation. A small anecdote that my Diksha Guru Bhakti Charuswami tells, when he joined ISKCON, somehow very quickly he became Prabhupada's personal servant. And at one point, Prabhupada was going to go to Rishikesh, and he mentioned that he wanted Bhakti Charu Swami, whose name before was Gopinath Das, before he took sannyas, to be part of the crew. And Bhavananda Swami at the time was kind of Bhakti Charu Swami's authority. And he told Bhakti Charu Swami, no, I don't, I'm not allowing you to go with Prabhupada. And then Bhakti Charu Swami was like, but Prabhupada said. And Bhavananda Swami said, maybe, but service and separation is higher. So therefore you should. And then even though he was such a new devotee Bhakti at the time, Bhakti Charu Swami didn't buy that. He said, but wait a second, no, like Prabhupada gave me the instructions, so I don't, even if it's higher, I'm going to do it. So anyway, it's just I thought of that anecdote. But yeah, coming back to the exalted eternal associates of Krishna, the gopis, that's how we understand. And the key sentence here is, what is it? There is no difference between thinking of Krishna and associating with him. Right.
Yes, Prabhuji, and I have a short story. Can I tell?
Yep.
A little bit. I have.
And then we have 15 minutes left for the last verse. Go ahead. But can you speak closer to the microphone? Can you speak closer to your microphone? Because, the quality of audio. This is much better. Thank you.
Okay. I have read about the Sudas Bhakta. Maybe you know about that. So he just keep doing kirtan, and Krishna was very pleased to him, and he gave the Sudas his darshan. So Krishna or Prabhuji, the God says that Surdas, ask me, what do you want? I will give you. He was Surdas, blind. So Krishna says him that I will give you the eyes that you can see me directly. So that Surdas says that, no, I don't want my eyes back, because if I get those eyes and if I see you, that my intensity will be ended. So I don't want my eyes. So that's the intensity of love.
Wow. Preferring to remain in a state of vipralamba. That's far out. Very good example. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the last verse of the nectar of instruction, and we've got a little problem, because we've got Niha, Damni, Tanya, Naina, Komal, Raki, and Sawita, and we have 1, 2, 3 paragraphs. So, but you are all very generous, so you won't mind. Okay, nectar of instruction, number 11. Let us go to number 11, and we'll just go down the line. Sorry, guys. We'll have Niha read, or no, wait. Who was reading just now? It was Ria, right? Or was it Niha?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So now we have Damni, right? Or Niha?
Neha.
Okay, Niha. Sorry. It's just the light doesn't show up around your... Forgive me. So please read...
Hare Krishna.
Jai, read us just the translation, if it's okay with you.
Of the many objects of favor, delight, and of all the lovable damsels of Rajabhumal, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most treasured object of Krishna's love. And in every respect, her divine Kunda is described by great Sikhs as similarly dear to him. Undoubtedly, Radha Kunda is very rarely attained even by great devotees. Therefore, it is even more difficult for ordinary devotee to attain. If one simply bathes once within those holy waters, one's pure love of Krishna is fully aroused.
Thank you.
Should I read purport?
No, we'll have 2 more readers. But here, because we have only 10 minutes, I want to get something out of the way, and that is the history of ISKCON's of Prabhupada's instructions on bathing in Radhakund, because sometimes it seems like devotees have it wrong. So does anyone know the history and what's the conclusion? And remember, like, Prabhupada is, we believe, the most exalted devotee of Lord Chaitanya, but he would never, never, never for a second want to contradict or go over the shoulder of Srila Rupa Goswami. You agree, right? And so here Rupa Goswami makes it very clear: if one simply bathes once, one's pure love of Krishna is fully aroused. So he's obviously saying we have to bathe. Snat, snan or snatuhu, one who has bathed. So Rupa Goswami, without any question, is instructing us to bathe in Radhakund. So, but there's a little story with Prabhupada, and so does anyone know that story? There's like two phases in that story. Okay, Jatin is like, nope. So here's my understanding, and I think it's pretty. It's just this is what happened, and it's not like some very esoteric, debatable. These are just simple facts, but it's interesting. I think that Prabhupada, devotees read this and they're like, okay. And so when they went to Vrindavan, they went to bathe in Radhakund. But then Prabhupada got to hear that some men were too frivolous. They would dive into Radhakund and splash around, kind of like what Lord Chaitanya did in Jagannath Puri. There's descriptions of how Lord Chaitanya, I forgot if it was in a lake or if it was in the ocean or maybe both, but they were playing around.
Indradimna lake. Indradimna lake.
But here though we have a different case where when Prabhupada heard that devotees were kind of too frivolous, that was the word, too frivolous, he told them, he corrected them. And so then there was this misconceived rumor among devotees that Prabhupada said we shouldn't bathe in Radhakund. And for some time, so it was kind of like going around ISKCON that we shouldn't bathe in Radhakund. So then it came up to Prabhupada again. He said, no, you bathe, but you just bathe respectfully. You just bathe respectfully. A small little anecdote. Okay, Damni, it's your turn to read the second there's only 2 paragraphs, so you've got a short one here. And then after Damni, we have Tanya, and then we're done. So go ahead. Why is Radhakund so exalted?
Hare Krishna. Why is Radhakund so exalted? The lake is so exalted because it belongs to Srimati Radharani, who is the most beloved object of Sri Krishna. Among all the gopis, she is the most beloved. Similarly, her lake Sri Radhakund is also described by the great sages as the lake that is as dear to Krishna as Radha herself. Indeed, Krishna's love for Radhakund and Srimati Radharani is the same in all respects. Radhakund is very rarely attained even by great personalities fully engaged in devotional services, not to speak of ordinary devotee who are only engaged in the practice of Vedi Bhakti.
So thank you. So this is good to remember. Next time you go to Vrindavan, unfortunately, you all have to fly through Muscat just to go to Delhi, isn't it? It's crazy. It's similar to Russian and Ukrainian war. In order to fly from Moscow to Kiev, you have to go through Poland or something. When it's super close. So not to go from Delhi to Karachi or Karachi to Delhi, you have to fly through Dubai or Muscat.
They cannot. They just cannot because they won't get any visa. It's even worse.
Pakistanis, you cannot go to India right now.
No, Indians cannot come to Pakistan. What? Like not even a fly can cross.
Even if you're Hindus.
Yeah, the only way they can come to India if they seek political asylum, that they have been,
harassed or whatever.
Yeah, basically their life is under threat.
Well,
So then
it's sad, but it's not a big deal because Like I'll mention Rabindranath Prabhu. Rabindranath Prabhu is the head pujari of the Los Angeles temple, of the ISKCON Los Angeles temple. He's been head pujari there. He was born in Los Angeles, white devotee. He's been there since 1972 or something. And he's the head pujari still today, after 50 plus years. And you know how many times he went to India? Guess. Someone put one finger up. How about this?
Zero.
Yeah, zero. He's never been. So, not to say that it's nice if you can go visit Vrindavan, of course, it'd be wonderful. But wait a second, even if you fly to Dubai, because if you have an Indian passport, you can't, no, because you have a Pakistani passport, you can't fly to India. Is that the point? From anywhere in the world. What about Indians flying to Pakistan
Yes.
also? Same?
No,
Same. We can only meet
Same.
at the third country.
we are going to
Exactly.
meet at Dubai in November.
Jeez. Well, anyway, so the point, yeah, okay, it's sad, it's unfortunate, but it's not a big deal. Because, Vrindavan is where, again, not to minimize the actual Vrindavan, yes, but there's also statements in Shastra, and we can't ignore those either. Vrindavan is wherever devotees are glorifying Krishna, isn't it? Even greater than the holy place is to hear a sadhu, to hear the person Bhagavat, the devotee Bhagavat. So this is an impetus for you to appreciate each other's association even more, and to appreciate the holy name even more, and to appreciate the Sri Murti, and to appreciate the Srimad Bhagavatam and Prasadam. And those items are also Krishna. You don't need to ever go to Vrindavan in your life. And like, if I'm not saying, hopefully you'll go to Vrindavan, great. But in the case that you never go to Vrindavan in your whole life, or even to India for your whole life, does anyone have a doubt among you that you cannot become a pure devotee? Does anyone have a doubt? Because the goal is to become a pure devotee, to reawaken your love of God. Does anyone have a doubt that, if I don't go at least once that you're going to be missing out on something? Or are you all convinced that you can totally become pure devotees without ever going to India? Yes? Yeah, like Barka says, thinking of Vrindavan in separation. Same thing as the gopis thinking of Krishna in separation. And Roshni says no. Yes. So let's finish that last paragraph, and then we're done. This is the last paragraph. And who is the lucky reader? I think it's Damni. You just read, right? I'm so embarrassed when the person just reads, and yes, Damni just read. So now we have the last reader, which is Tanya. Is Tanya here with us?
Hopefully.
Huh?
Yes.
Tanya, sorry. Tanya. Tanya is like the Russian way to say it. It's Tanya, right? How do you say it?
Yes, it's Tanya.
Tanya. Oh, it's Tanya.
Should I start?
Are you Russian? Just curious.
No, I'm a Pakistani. Hindu.
It looks like Russian.
Okay, go ahead, please. This is the last paragraph. Read close to your mic.
It is stated that a devotee will at once develop pure love of Krishna in the wake of the gopis if he once take a bath in Radha Kund. Srila Rupa Goswami recommends that even if one cannot live permanently on the banks of Radha Kund, he should at least take a bath in the lake of many times as possible. As many times as possible. This is the most important item in the
No,
execution
he
of
doesn't say he doesn't say it is the. He says this is a most important. This is important to clarify. He's not saying this is the most. He's saying it's one of the most important. It's a most important item.
Yes, this is a most important item in the execution of devotional service. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in his connection that Sri Radhakund is the most select place for those interested in advancing their devotional service in the wake of the lady friends, sakhis, and confidential serving maids, manjaris of Srimati Radharani, living entities who are eager to return home to the transcendental kingdom of God. Golok Vrindavan, by means of attaining their spiritual bodies, Siddha Deha, should live at Radha Kund, take shelter of their confidential serving maids of Sri Radha, and under their direction, engage constantly in her service. This is the most exalted method for those engaged in devotional service under the protection of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this connection, Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes that even great sages and great devotees like Narad and Shanak do not get an opportunity to come to Radhakund to take their baths. What then to speak of ordinary devotees? If by great fortune one gets an opportunity to come to Radhakund and bath even once, he can develop his transcendental love for Krishna exactly as the gopis did. It is also recommended that one should live on the banks of Radhakund and should be absorbed in the loving service of the Lord. One should bath there regularly and give up all material conceptions and taking shelter of the Sri Radha and her assistant gopis. If one is thus constantly engaged during his lifetime, after giving up the body, he will return back to Godhead to serve Sri Radha in the same way as he contemplated during his life on the bank of Radhakund. The conclusion is that to live on the banks of Radhakund and to bath there daily constitute the highest perfection of devotional service. It is a difficult position to attain, even for great sages and devotees like Narad. Thus, there is no limit to the glory of Sri Radhakund. By serving Radhakund, one can get an opportunity to become an assistant of Sri Radharani under the eternal guidance of the gopis.
Jai. Jai, Jai, Jai. Here, let me share this with you. This is a verse that that actually the Bhakti Charuswami used to quote a lot, and it's totally relatable to the conclusion of this verse, of this nectar of instruction. This is from Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur in his Chaitanya Chandramrita. He writes, Yatha yatha gaura padara vinde vindeta bhaktim krita punya rashi tata tato sarpati ridi akoshmat radha padam bhoja shudam bhorashi. And here's a translation. Check this out. As much as we devote ourselves to the lotus feet of Shri Gauranga, we will automatically achieve the nectarine service of Srimati Radharani in Vrindavan. You see? And more specifically, this is just kind of like a general description of the verse, but the more literal translation is, to the degree that one absorbs ourselves in serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to that degree, then all of a sudden, akoshmat, I heard from Bhakti Charuswami, means all of a sudden we will realize that check this out, how wonderful this is, that our heart has become inundated, flooded with the nectar from the feet of Srimati Radharani. Right? So that's really the conclusion. Like, when you serve Lord Chaitanya, it's not to minimize, residing in Radhakund and living there and bathing there, and that certainly is wonderful. But the point is, we are followers of Lord Chaitanya, and we see the Acharyas themselves, even Bhakti Siddhanta, who makes this point. He wasn't living in Radhakund the whole time. He was going there to get inspired, but then he would go and spread Krishna consciousness, isn't it? And same thing with Prabhupada. So same thing with us. If we get the chance to go to Vrindavan, we have these purports to remind us of the mood we should go and the significance, and how Radhakund is non-different from Radharani. So imagine how much Krishna loves Radharani. So how much Krishna loves Radhakund. It's inconceivable. At the same time, not mutually exclusive, but at the same time, we remember that, look, if we just serve Mahaprabhu's mission, then our heart will become inundated with the nectar from Srimati Radharani's lotus feet. All of a sudden, suddenly, So on that note, we can conclude that we should simply continue dedicating ourselves to being Goshtyanandis and to serving the Goshtyanandis of Lord Chaitanya's movement and Prabhupada's movement, and continue chanting our rounds every day, and continuing to follow the four regulative principles, and continuing to stay clean in our clothes and our lifestyle, and to continue reading Prabhupada's books and listening to his lectures and associating with each other and doing kirtan and in this way, spend a happy spiritual life in regardless of whatever situation we're in, and hope to go back to the spiritual world when we leave our bodies. Jai, just in time. Nectar of Instruction, Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai, Srila Rupa Goswami, Ki Jai.
We must offer our very heartiest gratitude to Chandrasekhara Acharya Prabhu. I was there almost every day, and it was what should I say, an immemorable experience. And we also request you, like from all the devotees, that you please give your Sangha another opportunity whenever that arises, and I hope that arises as soon as possible. Thank you, Chandrasekhara Acharya Prabhu. It would have been.
Thank you. It was really a wonderful experience for me. Very inspiring.
Oh.
Glad I met all of you and could hang out in Krishna consciousness, hearing and chanting with all of you.
Thank you so much. You just gave us your precious time to us, and we are very thankful to you. Thank you.
Jai.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
I think Krishna Priya wants to speak some. Yeah, don't wait. Just jump in.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, Chandrasekhar Prabhuji, for giving us for facilitating us so wonderfully and beautifully. You actually helped us to receive the mercy of Sri Rupa Goswami through these 11 material verses of Prabhu. And Prabhu, we will miss your Sangha, especially your jokes, like no refund and what is the name of your country. So, and also, we truly I honestly know some of students who share with me, and they truly loved your unique way of teaching us, and which was filled with joke. And honestly speaking, I felt that your discussions were not only enlightening, but it was creamy, because you were sharing your realizations with His Holiness Hridayananda Swami Maharaj, His Garud Prabhu, His Holiness Bhakti Sastri Maharaj, and we were getting more blessings. So thank you so much. And I'm also grateful to His Bhimna Prasad Prabhu, who brought you here for us,
Yeah,
so that
thank
we
you,
can
Prabhu.
get your association. Otherwise, we were not aware about the devotees like you. So thank you so much, Bhimna Prasad Prabhu, for this.
Yes, thank you, Vinod
And
Prasad.
lastly, I want to say, Prabhu, we were never aware that beautiful lines which Prabhupada has mentioned in his purport, like the monopoly of pure devotion, pure devotees, and other verses, other lines you also shared. So thank you for helping us to churn the beautiful lines from the purports of Srila Prabhupada and help us to taste the hidden sweetness. Thank you so much, and please bless us. And we pray that whatever we have learned through your Sangha, I pray to Rupa Goswami and Krishna that may we follow this sincerely and wholeheartedly. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
This is Srila
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Prabhupada. Chandrasekhara Prabhu Jai. Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Prabhu, last
Krishna.
Kirtan. Prabhu, last Kirtan.
Oh, Kirtan.
We are waiting for this.
Just 5 minutes. So everyone mute themselves and.
Yes, Prabhu, it's very amazing Kirtan. When I listening our Kirtan, it's me. I'm a friend of you because this Kirtan I have heard first time. This type of Kirtan, that's Prabhupada Dhun are very beautiful tune.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
he sing very, very beautifully. So Prabhu, I am requested to you, please, 15 minutes at least, 5 minutes you can Kirtan for Prabhupada Dhun.
Jai. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Shishi Radha Krishna ki Jai. All right, see you soon, Prabhus. Haribo, all the best. Thank you once again.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Gauranga.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much.